I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I got Smoking Jim Frazier here. I think I do. And then Zach Brenner, he's here. Chip the Prophet Hainer is watching the Pirates going to beat the Red Sox tonight, so he didn't make it. And we'll get an update from him maybe later on or next week. Or you can read about it or hear about it on our next show. Hey, thanks for all the likes on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. We hit a new high, 3,357 the last time I looked at it. So to do that, I appreciate the likes, and you know yourself if you have some nice Facebook pages, well, as long as you don't go through Smoking Jim. Some of those are a little sketchy. You've heard me say that before. I can't like everything, and some of the people that want to keep asking me to like those pages, I cannot. It's a family show. We do like sports, fundraising, and of course we like all the people that are good people in the Pittsburgh area. So we start the first segment of our show with What's on Our Mind, and we're going to do that right now. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Too much, Al Levine, too much. But I'll try to narrow it down to a couple things.
Try one.
Being that you asked me what's on my mind.
I want one thing on that mind.
It's not often that I admit that I'm wrong, but I'd like to give Jim Frazier a shout out. I went back and watched the last Steelers game against the Ravens, and man, what I saw from Jarvis Jones just completely devastated and upset me.
Can you explain that?
I will elaborate further into further detail. I've never seen a football player in my life, A, over pursue the ball, and B, constantly chasing after somebody about 10, 15, 20 yards downfield, constantly like in pursuit. I was under the impression that by bringing in Joey Porter, that was going to, hopefully rub off a little bit on these guys. But apparently number 55 will be better suited playing on the field than working with Jarvis Jones. In my opinion, they should bring in Joey Porter and James Harrison at this point, and that would shore up the linebacking core. It was a big concern of mine going into this season. We knew Lawrence Timmons is a beast. Shazier, is kind of, falling down in my opinion. He's having a little bit of a rookie slump. We're only 2 games into the season, though, mind you. But, Jarvis Jones is a bust. And that other guy, Worlds, man, you're not earning your check either, man. So my Cortez Allen on the secondary, I didn't understand giving him a contract. In my opinion, he's a bum. I just have more questions than answers through 2 games of this season, and hopefully Mike Tomlin has something up his sleeve that I'm not aware of, because right now what I'm seeing from both of his coordinators has me baffled as well. I'm doing better in Madden calling plays than these 2 guys are. At this point of the season, I think Snoop Dogg got it right. It's time for Haley to go, and that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Zach Brenner. I'm trying to digest all that. I might do a couple revisitations with you on that one. Definitely. Smoking Jim, since you got all those accolades, I don't know if you're ready to tell us what's on your mind.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine in my option quarterback days, how I used to do it.
You see that?
But I agree with everything Zach Brenner said. And I tell you,
of course he agreed with you. You had to. What kind of show do we have?
And I'm impressed. Al Levine got his sleeves rolled up showing the guns. Guns is looking
I
good.
don't have them rolled
Guns
up.
is blazing. Guns is blazing today.
Look at you. Look at you. How about, folks, I know you watch Smoking Jim all the time, especially all the ladies here, because I get calls from them and everything else. They want to know if he's a single man. But he's got his shirt, ladies, unbuttoned, the lowest it's ever been on our show. And he doesn't get hot flashes or cold flashes. It's just a good environment. So he's trying to get me. I'm not doing another ALS challenge for you, Smoking Jim. And that's my interruption.
That Street's coming out.
It is. Strong in the neighborhood. All right, sorry, Smoking Jim. It's your turn.
Let me move this screwdriver.
Here, give it to me.
Give
You
the
kids.
screwdriver to the guy that knows how to use it.
Oh, how do you hand one to
That's a Phillips tip.
But
Yeah.
is that a Phillips head?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I heard
Phillips.
of
There
him.
you go.
What is that, like Coach Phillips? Is that Coach Phillips or something?
But hey, just
serious.
real quick, Jimmy.
No, take your time.
Jimmy Savetti called me. He said he wants to invite all the police officers and everybody over there doing a special thing for the police officers at the Hollywood Theater Friday night at 7 o'clock.
This
I believe,
Friday?
for the police officers. So I didn't get all the details, but
I understand
it's
that.
over there in Dormont.
Hold it, I think I have his.
Sketchy.
I think I have his number. Maybe you can call him.
Yeah.
Sketchy.
So, hey, what's on my mind is I took a lot of heat when I didn't have RG3 in my top 10 quarterbacks in the 2012 draft. My top 5 that draft was, of course, number 1, Russell Wilson. Number 2, Andrew Lucky. Number 3, Ryan Tannehill. Number 4 was Kirk Cousins, and number 5 was Nick Foles. I said then in my draft report that RG3 reminded me too much of Cordell Stewart, a talented guy who never had to take any kind of criticism. All quarterbacks are going to hear boos at some point in your career, even get booed at home. And I felt like Cordell, just like RG3, wasn't tough mentally. Would begin to be affected by the boos, and you've seen that a year ago. Even a guy like Eli Manning, who has won 2 Super Bowls, he's getting booed all the time in New York. But he's mentally tough. He goes right back out there and leads the league in interceptions. It doesn't bother him.
That was an easy one. He's good.
I felt like RG3 is a very selfish player. And guys do not give extra effort to selfish players. I think great leaders make everybody around them better, and he just wasn't that. And plus, he didn't get along with Mike Shanahan. And I tell everybody, thanks if that calls for me, Lil Z.
Usually they call in for Zach Brenner. But I don't know what happened tonight.
That's good. But I tell people all the time that, I mean, all right, he didn't like Mike Shanahan. I never liked any coach that I ever had. I mean, our coaches used to make us do 100-yard bear crawls. But the thing is,
Did you respect them?
You respected
Said
your
he was coming up
coaches.
to that.
You know what I mean? I mean, they beat us and abused us so much that
We're going to
Adrian-
cover this later because I want to hear more about
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
We got beaten and abused so much that,
With sticks?
oh, man.
We'll
that's-
cover that in the revisitation.
Even
'cause he's
Adrian
keeping it a
Peterson
secret.
would think it was too much, but they did it to
Well,
make you. They did it to make you better football players. They did it
Tougher men.
to make your team a better team and for you to win. You wasn't supposed to like your coaches. You're supposed to respect them and honor them and play them. Mike Shanahan is a quarterback guru, and anytime he tried to coach RG3 would run to the owner or run to the media and blast his coach, and that's what you're seeing now. And like I said before, I have a lot of cousins, and I got a new one in Washington, D.C. His name is Kirk Cousins. Good luck, cuz.
Thanks, Smoking Jim.
I liked it.
Very good. I like those points. We'll have to revisit some of that in the next segment. Let's see. You only covered a couple things of mine, so that's pretty good. We'll talk some NFL later on with all the things changing. But what I did want to bring up is I brought up last week about the court of public opinion.
Yes.
And that sort of changed, you know, the whole dichotomy of how they're talking about all these problems. You look that up in your dictionary. But
Got that repertoire.
I understand
You go
that.
with that hair.
Right. Well, there's a mold to it, thanks to Zazu and
It's a
Marianne.
dangerous combination, folks.
Well, getting back to the point of this, we got some serious subjects to cover here. We try to keep it light, but what's happening out there is, of course, the NFL's in the news, and they have so many players that have gotten caught with this domestic violence, now child abuse, and everything else. But here's the point that'll help change the NFL, like you were talking about, Zach, and other people have. It's about the money. Anheuser-Busch sent out a little notice that they're very disappointed in what the NFL is doing with the players because they don't condone that in their own company. and their behavior. So they're thinking about changing. Of course, you have the National Organization of Women. They're going to try to sue and try to protest things. And there's also talk about why would women let the NFL talk about the Susan G. Komen Cancer Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, because if they're being disrespectful to women. So my point is, sure, you have a CBA, we discuss that. There's issues on that also. But think about it. If they start losing multi-billion dollars in advertising, what will that do?
Who was that, Anheuser-Busch?
Yes.
Miller Lite would step in. It's America. It's America.
I don't think
America.
There's a problem that once you're tainted by this and you have more people come in and they change their stance every week, and then you investigate the investigators, it brings up a red flag. So we'll have to stay tuned. But that's what's on my mind. It's constantly out there in the public, and I just want to state again, I'm against all domestic violence.
We all on this panel, we're all against it. But
well, I just want it to be said so we do know. Let's get into revisitation right now.
Can I ask you this?
You can ask me whatever you want within
Attorney
reason,
Levine.
except about my hair.
Are we not human beings? I never met a perfect human being in this world in 30 years. And these men, they might be millionaires and they're extremely talented, but they're still human beings. And human beings make mistakes.
They're
not
point.
perfect. They're not perfect. And could you imagine the pressure, the rigors, and the stress of being a millionaire? No, I don't feel sorry for them for that point. But what I do feel sorry for them is that we don't, sometimes when you get hit in the head a lot or you do certain things or whatever, like you're not the most, right-minded person or whatever in the league. But that's not to make an excuse for some of this stuff. But they are human beings, and human beings do make mistakes. And, when did every individual become like the morality police? Whenever people, that's like you making a mistake in the grocery aisle and somebody running up and throwing a yellow flag and telling you, like, hey, idiot, you just dropped the milk. You know what?
People make mistakes. No offense to idiots out there, because we might be dumber than them, but part of the problem is you're not going to throw a flag on everything. It'd be great if you could, because you have a culture. You're finding out with Adrian Peterson, there's a culture of the South that you can get a stick and call it a twitch and hit somebody and beat it till they're almost bleeding, or they are bleeding, and hit them in private areas. So, okay, that's a culture. So you need a cultural change. And that's what you've had personally, I know some more things, but unless you change that culture, you're going to have problems. And this is what you have. When you're above the law in general, whether you're a millionaire or an entitled player or just an entitled person, you don't feel you go by the laws and rules we go by. That's part of the problem. So yes, a flag should be thrown on that.
Well, for that point, yes. But like I said, just, bad situations and bad things that do happen when mistakes are made. The beauty of life is you can come back from making a mistake. Depending on the mistake, there's certain things that if you do, like, there's no coming back from. But
what I
it's
think
not
about,
right to hit a woman, no way, shape, or form. But it's also not right for a woman to hit a man. It's also not right for women to trap men and for women to try to extort these millionaires. Like, that's also not right.
I don't want to go
let's just bring light to the fact that, it's not just the NFL players beating on defenseless, innocent women.
Whoa.
And I'd love to segue from that right now to the fact that right now, even the players on the field can't even hit each other right now.
Well, I'm going to segue back to that, because, first of all, when I say all domestic violence, it isn't men against men, men against women, men against children, men against animals. It's women the same way. It's kids against the same way. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say all. And it encompasses all of that. And are you going to go punch your mother in the face? That's how I base it.
No.
Okay, well,
Of course
to
not.
me, somehow you have some morality here. Are you going to go punch a sister in the face?
No.
I don't know why. Now, here, you're a great football player. Now you're starting to punch people in the face. And you're not in a sport doing it. So that's my point there.
They could also, like I said, they could be juicing up and having roid rage. There's so many elements and factors, and too many hits to the head. I'm not making any excuses for these players, but maybe the NFL needs to step in and do a better job of evaluating and taking care of this product, because, like you said, if Anheuser-Busch pulls out, Miller will probably step in, but they'll probably, like Tiger Woods and everybody who's made mistakes, with the public opinion, you take a little bit of a blow to your pocketbook, you know?
Oh,
Can a black man speak?
let me see.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me just say.
Yeah. What
let
have
me
you been waiting for? I counted 5 minutes.
Let me give you an answer from the hood. First of all, Roger Goodell could care less about abused women. Here's why. And this is a fact. You know, listen, this is an old boys network, just like golf. Golf stands for gentlemen's only, lady forbidden. Don't listen. The National Football League is run by elderly white men, and Roger Goodell works for them, and Roger Goodell could care less about abused women, and this is why. And then I'll back this up by fact. Roger Goodell was hired in 2006. I don't know how, but he took over for Tagliabue in 2006. Since then, there's been 56 arrests, 56 domestic abuse arrests since 2006. And combined, those 56 players received 13 games in suspension. That is basically 15 minutes or 1 quarter. That's basically a timeout. Like I said before, Adrian Peterson's kids would love a timeout, and that's all he's given. If the average has been less than 2 game suspension per domestic abuse. Nobody's ever received more than 2 game suspension. That's why he gave it to Ray Rice. But like I said, now because of the reaction from the video, now he's trying to do his dance. I call him Roger the Question Dodger, because there's no way in the world. First of all, you didn't have to see the video inside to know what happened. The Atlantic City Police Department already wrote a police report, said that this guy, Ray Rice, was the aggressor. He hit his fiancée at the time, Janae Palmer, and she's fine. He hit her with a closed fist, rendering her unconscious. So everybody knew what was going on. So now Roger the Question Dodger is doing a dance. And I hope that the women fight it as hard as they can. I would love to see him, because he made $46 million last year and didn't give none to the United Negro College Fund. So I would love for the
Believe me,
women.
the former owner of the Clippers took care of that United Negro College Fund.
Yeah, we gotta honor him again. One of us. We gotta honor him again, man. We need that money, brother. But that's what I'm saying. He's never shown in the years that he's been there that he's done anything.
Oh, that court of public opinion, and now the dollars.
Listen,
when they start the dollars.
And I want to defend Robert Griffin III, RG3, and only for one reason. And
he's not black. He's an Oreo cookie. He's tougher. Black on the outside, white on the inside.
He's tougher than Cordell Stewart, and I'm gonna tell you why he's tougher than Cordell Stewart.
RG3?
RG3 is tougher than Cordell Stewart. Last season, he played and destroyed what was left of whatever he was running on, and completely just obliterated it. You know?
Yeah, that was a
like
tough
Robert Griffin. If
when he was injured
2 years ago.
2 years ago,
when he was injured,
his rookie year.
Well, was that
against Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's way tougher than Cordell Stewart, for the simple fact that Cordell wouldn't even have played on a bad wheel, let alone RG3 playing on a bad wheel. The only way you see Cordell Stewart playing on a bad wheel is riding a bicycle through Frick Park and get a flat.
Oh, that's a story for another day. We got our other segments here. I normally do. The Sandbox Boys are back at it. We're gonna have a special Sandbox segment. I'm thinking of it. I got a whole bunch of segments because the last couple weeks I do have to apologize. We had more of a round robin discussion. You can look that up, Smoking Jim, also. And we just kept, it was like a freewheeling conversation. I hope you enjoyed some of it. You did get some sports analysis from the NFL scout.
Yay!
Who's turning out to be pretty credible.
And we'll cover that. We have a Steelers segment. And that's part of what you helped me segue into. Instead of our Sip Sports Bar segment, we're going to talk about a segment with Steelers.
You got a taste of Chinese.
We got a segment for Chinese. Oh, I'm sorry.
Man, chicken and broccoli would be so good for
Well, you know what? If you guys would have listened to May Sway last night,
good.
She's at Sesame Inn right now. $15, you can get a meal, and they'll talk to you about some vitamins.
Wow.
You go right down the street right now.
Are they all natural?
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Do
going to
they
talk.
Will they be detected in a PED?
I got more stuff to tell you. She was just awesome yesterday and debunked a lot of things I did. And Smokin' Jim always said, when you have a good show, they stay later. Smokin' Jim was there late. That was the first good sign. May Sway was there till almost 10 o'clock having a good conversation with the talking machine.
And October 3rd was there.
October 3rd was there, whatever. What's October 3rd? You got me going all over the place. I don't remember that, but so far with Chucky Sirakis is trying to convince me to go to my 40th reunion for KO.
Man, that's
and
great.
My answer's still no. I appreciate and respect everybody. I will not be there.
I
have a prior engagement at Smokin' Jim's house. We're going to watch an 80-inch TV screen.
Yay!
So I don't know where he got it from, but heavy money come through.
It fell off a truck.
I don't know. But no, we're going to do some segments here tonight. We got Pirates to talk about. We got Pitt. We got the Penguins.
Well,
we got NFL. We got high school. We got NCAA.
Would it be incorrect if I just rattled off a couple of things that I'm thinking about on that list?
How about boxing, soccer even? I threw that in.
We'll go from the top. Let's go. We talked a bunch about the Steelers already. Let's go with Pitt. Pitt was down 16-0 in the first 10 minutes against Florida International on Saturday.
I stopped watching it for a while.
They did come back, and man, I saw Dave Warren. There was a lightning storm during the game, and Florida weather, so they delayed the game. And Dave Warnstadt was on doing some stuff. Man, do I miss Dave Warnstadt. He couldn't coach a lick, but man, could he recruit. He could recruit, man.
Yes,
and I know Pitt's kicking themselves. That you got to miss the stash, man. Dave Warnstadt.
Well, hey Zach, the one thing is this was supposed to be for after Fiction and Fact with Smokin' Jim's Almanac and Z Time. I know I got you all excited about this, but we have these segments so we can talk and give the folks our opinions and some of the expert opinions from the NFL scout who's been right this year.
Okay, we're talking about Pitt.
Yeah, for right now. Then we're going to go to Smokin' Jim Frazier's segment and your segment. That's why I did those segments for you.
We got 36 minutes to talk about Jim Frazier and Gateway's abysmal football program.
How did you bring Gateway's? There's a high school segment.
Still got
Folks, this is what happens. They're in the sandbox, but he didn't. Since we're on Pitt for about 30 seconds more, here's what's amazing. Tony Dorsett had a record, 429 yards in his first 3 games, and that's a record. Guess what? James Conner beat it, like 528 yards in 3 games.
He's a beast.
Is that amazing?
To the Heisman.
And you said they'd have a good running game.
Yeah, defensive end. Russell Shell.
Why don't you tell the folks that? Because we've talked about it privately. Tell them what you said would have happened if Russell Shell would have stayed.
Yeah, James Conner out of Erie, Pennsylvania, was recruited to play defense. And being that Russell Shell got suspended, they needed depth at running back position. So they were probably going to redshirt him as a freshman, as a true freshman. But they ended up letting him play some backup running back, and some of the running backs got hurt. They put him in the game, but they still was going to, as a sophomore, have him play defensive end. But in the bowl game, he ran for 170 yards, and he made a strong argument for staying on the offensive side of the ball. They still recruited some outstanding running backs because they're
not in the game yet, though.
Yeah, and they still practiced him in spring ball. Well, they didn't have a true spring ball.
No, they had spring ball, but you didn't get invited.
Yeah, they didn't have a game.
Neither did we.
Practice, yeah. But in the fall, they still had him practicing a lot of defense. But now he's maybe the best running back in the country. He should be.
He's looking that way
on people's Heisman watch list. So,
I mean, let's not forget about Tyler Boyd either. Though Tyler Boyd
ain't winning no Heisman.
Made a mean grab.
He made a great catch.
Yeah, it was a great catch that he made. It was a great catch
for another TD.
So.
And he stayed healthy even with the broken pinky. Did make some catches.
Guy got unbelievable hands.
Speed hands.
Even with 9 fingers now.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, we're going to go to one of my favorite segments, Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Oh, thanks, Elvin. You're really going to enjoy this one talking machine.
How far back is it going?
We're going back. We're going way back to 2007.
Oh, nice.
In 2007 is the first time I met the genius, Bruce Arians. And if you guys remember, Bruce Arians was the offensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. The only time they ever made the playoffs was at him as offensive coordinator. That was the first and last time. Before that, he was Peyton Manning's quarterback coach. So he came in with some credentials, and he also came in with an AARP card because he was awfully old. Only thing he wanted to do was coach Big Ben. And he was successful. His first year, he was wide receivers coach, and that was the year after Mike Mularkey backstabbed Kenny Jackson.
Boy, do you know all this inside info.
We'll go more into that in further shows and how that happened. And
let's hear this fiction and fact.
But Bruce Arians, I remember him telling me that he likes a 3 tight end offense that he prefers, and no fullbacks are in his offensive system. And that held true when he got to be the offensive coordinator. And, this is a guy now, and don't forget that Art Rooney II fired Bruce Arians, which may go down in history.
You mean he didn't retire? I still read the paper and it said he retired.
Which may go down in history as the worst firing of all time.
Yeah, I thought he retired.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin wanted him to come back, but Art Rooney II fired him to bring in, Todd Haley, who was recently fired at midseason by the Kansas City Chiefs, former ball boy to Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wasn't he head coach and lost the job?
Yeah, he got fired halfway through as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
And replaced by Romeo Cornell.
Yeah,
that was the closest Romeo got to being a head coach. Fiction and fact.
But if you look at it, Bruce Arians, his Arizona Cardinals, in my opinion, is the uncrowned world champions because they were the last team last year to beat the Seattle Seahawks. This year they're 2-0. They'll be 3-0 when they beat San Francisco on Sunday. Last year he was NFL runner-up coach of the year. And the year before that, he was the NFL Coach of the Year. And I tell you what, he is looking like he got a whole lot of great coaching ahead of him. The team is playing strong for him. Carson Palmer was hurt. He just plugged in another Michigan State guy, something like a Hoyer or Kirk Cousins, one of them Michigan State guys.
Yeah.
They just plug them in. Drew Stanton, another backup,
and he went to Arizona because of your buddy, the genius.
The genius.
And the genius got a bunch of stuff, too.
That's what it is. And I think he had he had his best defensive player hurt, and everybody was, woe is me. But he just kept on going. Abrams is going to be back. But the guy, I forget his name, the All-Pro, ended up hurting his Achilles and is out for the year. But they just keep on rolling. And they are the uncrowned world champions, in my opinion.
You're not controversial, but I appreciate your fiction and facts, Smoking Jim. Thank you. Zach Brenner, we got Z time. You have anything for Z time?
Did I take it? What you was going to talk about, Bruce?
No, I would never talk about Bruce.
Did I take it? Steelers
in Bruce Arians' defense, we have not had a prolific offense of any capacity since Bruce Arians left. I don't think we haven't made the playoffs since Bruce Arians
You're
left.
backing him up 100%.
And this Todd Haley offense, I don't have a problem with running a reverse one every 200 downs, but there's we have weapons that are vertical downfield threats, and we're not using those weapons the way that they should be utilized. You have Marcus Wheaton, who's a burner, and you're not giving him a chance to go one-on-one with the second or third, corner on that team, opposing him and running straight down the sidelines. For some reason, Bruce Arians did a good job of utilizing Mike Wallace.
Great job.
And we just haven't been able to fill that in since, Bruce has left. But I'll never call him the genius. That's just me, personally.
Well, you're not friends with him like Smoking Jim.
Yeah, Smoking Jim hangs out with Bruce all the time.
He did once.
But on one note, since we're still talking about the Steelers, and I touched on this a little bit ago, them not being able to hit without, drawing a flag. I thought that was, absolutely appalling to me with the flags that were coming in for hits that I felt were legitimate hits, especially Mitchell's hit. Like, I didn't feel like that was a dirty hit or a hit that was worth, So I don't know. At some point, it's a vicious, violent sport. And that's the way it's been, and it's even gotten better since it started. They didn't even have helmets, for Pete's sakes. They had just
those
leather
helmets.
Well, they started out with no helmets. Then they had the leather helmets, and then they've progressively gotten more and more safer and more advanced equipment. So what's the next thing? These guys are going to run around in bubbles?
That is a nice thing. Did you see those bubbles that people compete in?
Yeah.
I think that would be great. Do the NFL in a bubble. Bounce around. You have to check it out. I'll have to find a video for you.
It would be the safest league. But
well, it's never going to be 100%.
You know who I was impressed with watching the Sunday night game? Brandon Marshall might go down as one of the most underrated wide receivers in the history of the NFL.
It's going to be another fiction and fact.
Brandon Marshall is a beast of a wide receiver.
He's from here, believe it or not.
Born and raised, but went to Florida, for whatever.
Don't steal his fiction and fact. That may come up next week.
That's next week.
Well, look, he got it marked in there. It just come up.
Well, good.
You're
folks.
giving him too much information.
Don't tune out, folks, because you already know what fiction and fact is going to be next week. Hopefully, the Pittsburgh Penguins give number 29 a contract. If we want to.
You just want to segue in the Penguin talk, or what?
Why not?
Okay, because I was trying to give you Z time. You got Z time. I'm trying to break this up so if somebody has to go get a bag of popcorn out of the microwave, they can come back and they still hear Z time. Then they got Penguin talk. Then they got Steeler talk. We'll fine tune this next week.
And we had enough Steeler talk for 1 week.
Well, not 100%, but I'm going to let it go because I want to talk some Penguins. What a first-class organization. When you get your season tickets, of course, Mark Madden's been a season ticket holder. I heard him crying. I happened to be in the car the other day, and I had his show on, and I can listen to him for about 5 minutes. And luckily, I listened right under the 5-minute level. He goes, I'm extremely upset. And he goes, I don't see Sid delivering tickets to my house. He's going to children's houses, men, women, other people. He goes, I've had season tickets since I'm 4 years old. And he goes, I'm like an old guy. Why don't they come out to my house? But here's my point. You saw Sid playing goalie with a kid, giving season tickets to the family. How many teams send a player out to even do that? This is a world-class athlete. I just think it's a nice thing, whether Mark Madden got him to come out or not.
Meanwhile, Mark Madden gets to hang out with these guys more than anybody, so he probably lives in the same neighborhood as some of these guys, and he used to live next door to Ben Roethlisberger and probably still does.
In Plexico Burris.
I think Ben moved.
Who could ever forget when Plexico pulled up in that big Ford semi-truck?
I can't forget.
Who could have foreshadowed that he was going to shoot himself in the leg
Accidentally.
and cost himself millions of dollars? Talk about abuse of himself, He shot himself and spent it.
And he got a second chance. He actually went to prison, and he had a second chance.
But what it did was, and it was self-inflicted, but it cost him in his, he had some more game left.
That's some of my points from the earlier segment. Sometimes you do get a second chance.
And his beautiful wife waited to 2 years for him.
See, we got fiction and fact coming out again. I don't know if it's fiction or fact. I can't figure it out.
I don't know if that's true.
Any more on the Penguin talk? Smoking Jim, anything on the Penguins here?
Yeah, what do you think about the
You followed hockey once.
Nothing yet.
Okay. Now they're going to be starting their preseason. I just want to give you a heads up.
Now that goalie.
I know Crosby is looking bigger. They say he's been lifting weights and stuff.
Their goalie.
You're all about the weightlifting. You think I'm lifting weights? I'm just trying to stay in shape here.
Their number one goalie, you've heard on this show, debated many a times. There was backups that people thought that should have played instead of Marc-Andre Fleury. But he's due for a contract.
Yeah.
This is his final season of his contract, and he's due for a contract. I just feel like they should reward him with the contract for the simple fact that they don't have anybody in the organization anywhere near as good as him, and they couldn't even bring somebody off the street as good as him, and they're going to have to pay probably similar money for somebody, and you don't even know what you're going to get. At least you know what you're getting with him.
Well, I want to see what they do this year with the new coach, changing the philosophy that we want to win during the playoffs. We don't care about winning a division title. Let's have the team ready to win titles.
Wow.
Because their window of opportunity, these guys are all in their prime the last few years.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see if they let Letang step up, if Dupree gets to have a more key role to the hockey team. It'd be great to see these things happen. They have a lot of young players. And look, they've won divisions how many times and gone nowhere. So I'm hopeful for the Penguins.
Good point.
And their preseason does start, so get ready. Their spring training, Smoking Jim.
Would you rather have a team as successful as the Penguins have been in the last 10 seasons, or would you rather, have the Florida Panthers that are just terrible every season? See, for me, I would much rather have a team that is consistently, making the right moves and winning. Basically, the opposite of what the Pirates.
What was that?
Basically, the.
I know, I can't follow.
But you know
He's
what
dominating.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
You want to ask us what we think?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't
Smoking
know what
Jim,
I mean?
give
I'll
you-
elaborate even
No,
more.
I know what you mean.
I don't tell me that.
Here's what he means. We're from Pittsburgh. We hate to
Okay.
lose.
Right.
So when your team's winning, you're on the bandwagon. That's all good.
Uh-huh.
So you want to stay on that bandwagon.
Right.
You want your team to do well every year.
Okay.
And if they suck in the playoffs, we'll talk on this show and other shows about it. But if you have a winning culture, that's what helps. That's his point.
I thought he
And
said,
you
"Oh,
sort
would
of-
you?" I thought he said, "Would you rather have a winning team that wins all the time, or a team like Florida Panthers that never win?"
Well, he did say that, but that's not what he means. He just means he wants this team to stay a winning
You
team.
guys got to
No,
learn
but
some
the-
ebonics.
No,
man.
to clarify this, Roger Goodell, to clarify this,
He's a Roger.
what I mean is that in this city, even
I'll take the winning
when they
team.
win, even when they win though, if you don't win the championship, it's like the big, everybody just turns against you, and now you're the biggest loser.
AKA
But
the front runners, the bandwagon. That's why I mentioned that.
That's how it is in Monroeville too. But yeah, I
Is
agree
it?
with you. I agree
We'll
with you.
talk
It's all
high school
about-
in a minute.
It's all about championships. It's all about championships.
But the thing of it is that
Especially
so
when you got
many
the
things
best
have
team.
to happen though, for everything has to fall.
yeah,
into
you got to
place
get Crosby. You got to get the best players.
Malkin.
Malkin.
But even it's a team game, though. So you could have the greatest players in the world. If you don't have a sound team from first line to fourth line, it doesn't matter. And that's what has been killing them.
Thanks,
They
Archie.
have-
Thanks, Archie Manning. I'll pass that along to Peyton.
I don't know how you mix this up. We go baseball, you're an expert, you throw out some things there. Hockey, we try to throw it to you. Now you throw in a football, Archie Manning. The patriarch,
excuses.
the
The Penguins-
patriarch of
the
the
Penguins-
Manning clan.
The Penguins should have been winning.
Okay.
They
should have
are
been
winning. They're just
They
not
should have
winning
been
the Stanley
They
Cup.
should have been winning more cups.
Well, the
And they'll
Steelers should
admit
win
that.
more championships.
They should have.
They should have gotten
They
the
should
playoffs
have.
last year.
They should
You know,
have.
if
And
Miami
if they would
had,
have
she would've
listened,
been on.
yeah, but
If Bill
well, that will
Cowher's
cut
wife
it.
didn't get sick, they'd have about 4 trophies. Super Bowl. He'd have 4 like Chuck Norris.
Hold it. I have a question for you. You guys just love
Power,
the chin.
power.
You guys love the chin. How many years was he here?
How many years was he here with a first round draft?
No,
choice
how many
quarterback?
years was he here in general? Because he did get Knowles' team.
15 years.
Okay. And he did get Knowles' team, which had good players.
Yeah,
okay.
and he
But that's
admitted that. He
I know, and
admitted
that's
that.
another
They wasn't
subject
great
for
players.
me because I look more realistic at these
Okay.
guys.
Neil O'Donnell was a good player.
Well,
He was
my
good.
point, he was in the game not to lose it, and that's what Cowher
Well, I
believed
think
in.
he had
He wanted a
some other
quarterback,
things on him.
and you'll agree with this, because he didn't get the first round picks. He wanted a quarterback that wouldn't lose the game for him. He would even state stuff like that. He didn't want them to jeopardize it. He wanted his pound and ground and a great defense, and that was his basic scheme. And
Yeah,
then
Neil was a
special
good
teams, he was
quarterback.
in charge of it, and when they sucked, he couldn't blame himself.
And what did
and
it
time
take to get
management
over the
didn't
hump?
matter.
It took a young man from Miami of
well,
Ohio.
That's his
First
point.
round.
Exactly.
Number 7. And I remember where I was that day.
Who
and
was
I'll
the
never
quarterback
forget.
when they won 4 Super Bowls? First round draft pick, Terry Bradshaw.
You guys are unbelievable. It's true.
Then they got a first
Once he
round.
finally got a franchise quarterback.
Well,
it
how
was
did they
just-
go 8-8 after that? They weren't great. and then he had to leave because he somehow was losing the players, and then he said about his wife. How does that happen? How do you kiss all your players on the sideline that you like, and then they don't do well, and then you lose control of the team because they're not listening to your plays?
Let me see. Motorcycle accident. Boom. That'll get you 8-8.
That hurts.
And your quarterback,
hurts.
Your quarterback goes head on into a windshield.
That'll get you 8-8.
These sound like excuses. If it's your team.
All I said was, I don't make excuses. All I said
They
was,
sound like excuses.
if Bill Cowher wouldn't have had to retire, the Steelers would have had 4 Super Bowls. And I'm piggybacking off of what Little Z said. The Steelers should have had more Super Bowls. They would have with Bill Cowher.
The one I know they should have had is
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Rashard Mendenhall putting the ball on the ground,
that had nothing to do with it. I predicted before that game, I won money. I said the Steelers wouldn't win. And the reason why, don't forget, Green Bay wasn't the team they are today. They didn't have no Jordy Nelson on that team. Great player. Green Bay was an up-and-coming team that was considered inferior. The Pittsburgh Steelers overlooked. The AFC was the powerhouse. The Steelers overlooked them. The Steelers got off that plane in Dallas, led by the receiver, Hines Ward. They all wore cowboy hats, and the first thing they did all week long was go to the different strip clubs. And I said on air back then that the Pittsburgh Steelers will lose because they're spending too much time in the strip clubs and not enough time focusing on the game. And they was down by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
And I tried to ask how he knew that, and he went silent on me. He took the fifth.
Listen,
I wasn't even on the jury.
Listen, Aaron Rodgers. Let's not discredit the head coach from Greenfield.
Yeah,
PA,
he's good. But I
Mike
mean,
McCarthy.
they weren't as good as they are
They
now.
came to play, and they won the game.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, I don't want to take anything away from the Packers' offense. He wasn't throwing to bums. You know, he wasn't throwing to Yancey Thigpen. He was throwing to some. He had some legitimate tight.
Yeah,
he had
I was
a tight
just
end.
joking about that.
He had
Yeah.
some wide receivers.
Donald Driver.
He had Cribbs
from
that was
Elkhorn
just
State.
emerging at that point. You know, Joshua Cribbs. Not Joshua.
Who?
No.
Oh, you're talking about Cleveland Brown.
Yeah.
No.
No. Who you meant on
Cobb.
that? Cobb. Yeah.
Cobb.
Anybody with braids, dreadlocks.
Smoking
Honest
Jim is a
mistake.
fashion plate.
He's on it tonight.
He knows
folks.
all the
He
fashion.
He knows who
Definitely.
got dreads and who
Look
got a high
at
top.
look at how he got that shirt open for the ladies tonight. He's back in business. You can call me up on Pittsburgh Sportsline. I'll let you know his schedule, his social schedule. He only tells me 1 or 2 places he's going, and he's never there long.
Thursday, we'll be in the house.
We need to put that out there. Stone Pepper's Grill.
I tried to buy some sweet potato pies for Thursday, but they're out of town.
Oh, man.
Put me down for one of those. I'm going to write myself a note.
I know you ate half of mine.
That was the best thing I had in 2014.
And that Shonda Lynn.
That was a good sweet potato pie.
That's Souffle Catering, right? You guys, you remember that. I gave you the card.
I got
a year ago.
Are we to boxing yet? I mean, since, there's a
Hold it,
heavy
wait a
money
second.
guy.
We just made it to boxing. We got the boxing segment right here.
Heavy money. I know Smoking Jim Frazier didn't take Madonna over Floyd Mayweather.
Madonna's the singer. She's old. She can't fight like
I haven't seen it until the fight. Until I judge the fight myself, I'm not going to give.
Smoking Jim, I saw it. I actually saw the fight.
Did you go to Ivy?
No, because you didn't go.
No.
I can't go without you. They're our friends.
He needs a wingman.
Yeah, I need a wingman
You went there before
there.
without me.
Well, I know because I thought. Yeah, but you know why? I thought you were going up because I said I'm going up to Ivy. Hey, folks, let me clarify this. I go to Smoking Jim. They're having a thing for Paul Spadafora and the fighters afterwards. You going up? That's what I heard.
Crickets.
Come on now.
Smoking Jim's defense and my defense. Spadafora didn't arrive for how much?
I left.
Yeah.
I was there till 1 in the morning. No problem.
So we made the executive decision.
I know, but I was there till 1 o'clock in the morning.
You made some great connections.
Oh, man, the rap music, I can still hear it. I'm a big fan of rap. Country's out. Rock and roll's still there, but, man, you should see the entertainment that they have in the setup there.
Really?
It's an awesome place. Check it out. When Smoking Jim and I go there, you'll know, and Zach's welcome anytime. He'll be my wingman. He can drive me there, and we'll meet Smoking Jim. But I saw the fight. JN3 invited me up to his house because he was getting the pay-per-view.
Who?
John Nieder III.
Oh, okay, my man. He got his own TV. He got his own TV show now.
Yeah, but that's all right. They're all spinning off of Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Well,
I'm proud of that.
He said you're his mentor.
I know. I'm proud of that.
Who else spinned off? Somebody else spinned off?
Zach's trying to spin off. He does like a reality show every day.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he doesn't film it yet. He's trying to. He's trying to get
Frazier's
Levine to
in
turn the
it. Jim
mic
Frazier,
on.
When they cut the check, man, Jim Frazier's in it.
That sounds good.
He's
Yeah.
in the reality
As
show.
soon as we get the green, his reality show is going to be
He's
spinning
doing it with
off.
Charlie?
No. He saw Charlie's mom today.
Hey, listen, me, you, and Charlie are going to Africa. In the first episode, we're going to Africa. We're taking it back to the roots.
How did we get?
We gotta get Lily. Take Lily with us.
How did we get off of
We
Madonna?
don't take sand to the beach.
How did we get off Madonna and Mayweather? I saw the fight.
Did you?
What I thought is it confirms what I believe about boxing, that it seems fixed to me.
Okay, I agree with that.
And that's a problem I have because it was $75 to get pay-per-view. And money, you got to admit, he's one of the best boxers at marketing and making money and winning. He's 47-0. You can disrespect that record all you want, but it's still a winner like you talked earlier. People want winners. 47-0. And one of the highlights that I saw, I did punch Maidana a few times flush in the face, and he can take a punch. And then what was interesting is Mayweather's choking Maidana. He was doing it like 2 or 3 times, and he really had him in a chokehold because I'm learning this from MMA.
Mm-hmm.
So what did he do? Is he tucked his glove underneath. Maidana bit him right on the glove. You could see it.
Really?
Because he pulled away, and
He winced.
he did, and of course he said,
With a mouthpiece in, he bit him. With a
well, you
mouthpiece.
only wear it on the bottom from what I was hearing there. They're only wearing it on the bottom, so you got some chompers at work. But anyhow,
No, you're wearing it on.
well, I don't know. They were
You're wearing it on the
discussing.
top, so you
Well,
do have the bottom.
Right. Well, he bit right into that, and Floyd was showing where he got bit at on his finger, and he said his hand was numb. That's why he couldn't use it. Now, it's not an excuse because he did get bit, but he didn't lose any fingers because it was in the glove.
It was swelled up. Smoking Jim Frazier after the fight. It was swelled
bit
up.
through the glove
It was swelled
and the
up.
tape into the hand. Yeah.
It was swelled
Well, they
up.
don't tape the fingers that much. Come on now, right? Think about it.
Thick glove, mouthpiece in.
Well, they're having an investigation right now, so.
Yeah, the Nevada State
He
Athletic
must got a
Commission.
wide mouth to do that.
Well, he was getting choked to
And
death.
he was even joking about it after the fight, like acting like a dog or whatever. Madonna, you know, like if he wants me to be a dog, it's a dog I'll be or whatever. So, but
Well, who won?
Well, in my scoring there, I actually won the scoring that night because I only gave, I think it was 2 rounds to Maidana.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's how much I thought.
can
he
you
wasn't.
give a shout out to the defense of Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah.
It's impeccable. He misses.
Well,
you could be standing right in front of this kid, and he's just making you miss and making you look ridiculous.
When you get to see it, you'll see the moves he made, and he was actually running through most of the fight, going in, going out. So, I mean, it was a boxing performance. It wasn't the power.
I talked to my niece. She was there. She said it was a Floyd one. So, she's an expert now, I guess.
Well, you got cousins, nieces. They're all over the sports world.
Hey, numbers
And my
don't lie.
my sister's daughter.
47-0, and you got 2 fights left on this deal with Showtime. So, hopefully, I know everybody wants to see Pacquiao and Floyd, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Pacquiao's going to, give in to the not the stringent blood testing, but the money, the difference, the disparaging difference. Because Mayweather pulled in $32 million, and I had heard that Madonna, whatever, pulled in $25 million.
Whoever he is.
I dispute that wholeheartedly because he made $4 million in the first fight, so you don't go from 4 to 25 in a loss.
Well, the only thing that looks suspicious to me is whatever you call him, Madonna, my Donna. Like I was telling you, I heard my Donna. The first fight that you had with Floyd, he was pummeling him the first 4 rounds, and then he might have boxed himself out. They said, but why wouldn't you have started trying to hit him again because you were scoring? He was trying to box with Floyd, and
Really?
and that's what threw me off. Because he didn't throw a third of the punches that he did. Then he didn't connect. He was under 30% in connecting with his punches.
Wow.
So he missed so many. Some of it was because of Mayweather, his moving around and everything.
I'm glad I saved the $75.
Well, there's
You
no
could've
way
went
you
to Dave and Buster's for 10.
you could have gone to Ivy for 10. Your friends would have treated you like gold there. The Abadanzas love you. No doubt about it.
But the only fight I don't want to see is Rod and Mesa Clay.
Is that coming up? Is that the rumor?
I don't know if Moni's gonna. I don't think Moni's gonna take it. I'm not sure.
Good. I don't want to see it.
No.
Two friends. I don't want to see two friends.
We hate to see friends fight,
Yeah.
except in the sandbox there. I like that.
Fighting for the title of the 4-1-2.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Let's settle it. You know.
Are you?
Yep. Whoever wants the Amish Assassin can get it. Whoever wants Rod can get it. Whoever wants Monty, you know, we could go down the list of all the boys. Everybody knows who's on the list, but whoever wants it can get it. You know, if you're a fighter, you want to fight.
Well, Sammy Vasquez will be back November 14th.
Can't wait.
And that'll be Console Energy
Maybe
against.
Jim Frazier will sit with his Pittsburgh Sportsline comrades.
Hold on, we got media
He did it in
passes for
God's
him. He won't
country.
have to go to that other, whatever that entity is. He writes for
I
them.
don't think they're too happy with me.
They like the story. You had a great story.
Yeah, but they didn't like all the passes they had to shell out. All the Phantom.
No, they all wrote
employees.
stories. I heard they all wrote stories or
All
took
the-
photos.
All the Phantom employees of the court.
You'll have to settle that another
You
day.
gotta quit taking all your kids to these
No,
fights.
cousins.
Man. You're blowing
Cousins.
all the passes.
I didn't even know them brothers.
Well, don't worry. Pittsburgh Sportsline will be there. You'll get your own little piece of paper with Pittsburgh Sportsline on it. All right. So we got that coming up. And
for Rod's sake and for Moni's sake, it would make more sense for the two of them to fight, you know, higher ranked, more challenging opponents instead of fighting each other. But I'll be pumped if they fought each other. It's going to be the slugger versus the boxer and
Born the
Moni's-
Matador. Born the Matador.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
it would be a good fight, and that's what I always look for.
well, when you're in the same weight class, don't you have to fight different challenges?
Well, and then
I mean, they did in the past.
Can I ask Jim Frazier this question? Raquan Kimbrough went on
The
Facebook
show.
this week and said that he is the highest paid boxer in the history of the city of Pittsburgh, and basically said that he's the best boxer to ever come out of the city of Pittsburgh. And he had some highlights and did some pretty good things, but if we go back to the old timers, I mean, forget about it, Raquan. They might not have made the money that you made or whatever. I mean, you're selling cars now, but you got guys like Billy Conn on
He's
that
actually
list.
not selling cars now.
Okay.
His wife said what he was doing.
Well, I can say
You
this.
have to watch the show.
Well, I can say this.
Sierra Chick Kimbrough.
In Vaquan's defense, just like maybe in your day when Sugar Ray Leonard fought in the Olympics, the best guy was Howard Davis.
Yeah,
Howard
good
Davis
point.
was a great. But so Vaquan Kimbrough, in my opinion, and I'm a boxing historian, Vaquan Kimbrough and the late Andy Kid DePaul were the two best amateur fighters to ever come out of this area. Followed probably, I ain't gonna say nobody else. But as far as a pro, Vaquan didn't have the professional career that some of these other guys have. You got the Fritzy Zivic and
Billy
Charlie
Conn.
Burley and Billy Conn and at one time there was only 8 weight divisions and Pittsburgh held 5 titles. So
That's
there
impressive.
Was there's some great fighters. But as far as the amateurs, I mean, he was as good as any amateur in the country, in the world, when he fought amateurs. Even Monty Clay will tell you that.
But
Yeah.
what does that translate to? I would much rather be the man of the professional, division than the man of the amateur ranks.
Well, let's not knock the amateurs' Golden Glove title, brother. And Andy Kid DePaul used to always tell me that he used to tease, I think it was either 1952 or 1956, probably 52. He says he used to tease Rocky Marciano because they fought nationals together and he won the gold and Rocky won the bronze.
and who got the better end of that deal?
Well, I mean, they two Italians could kid each other. Stay out of family business. But that's Rocky went on to be the greatest heavyweight, in my opinion, of all time, the greatest fighter heavyweight of all time, and Andy Kid DePaul could always say that, hey, look at this, I got the goal. You only
exactly. It does mean something.
Better than Ali.
Yeah.
He said that for years.
Yeah.
Some of his logic, not to speak
hard to walk through Homewood after you say something like that on Whammo, but I've said it on Whammo too. Rocky Marciano.
That's why he's controversial. That's Smoking Jim Frazier.
Gotta be honest.
Yeah, but
and the good-looking Jimmy RJ, which we call him Handsome. RJ. His dad listened to me. His dad listened to me on KDKA on Sunday. Yeah, and his dad may come to.
You know what? Since we're talking boxing, Smoking Jim is one of the busiest guys in the media that you'll ever meet. Now, we don't know about all the stuff he does because some of it never sees the light of day or night.
A lot of it.
And it's not on our show, just so you know. Come to Pittsburgh Sportsline, 250 plus shows. The only time he has not been there is when he's ill or he was very, very late.
That story, whenever I say who the F is Smoking Jim,
you mean that
classic? That was the time, though, when Al Levine wasn't on the microphone. This was before Al Levine was on the telecast. So
that's true.
I want to take credit for paving the way and getting Al Levine on the microphone. I knew he was a talent from the first time I talked to him.
Oh man, I'm getting emotional about this.
As soon as we got rid of the ditzy broads and got Al Levine and Frazier on the microphone, things have just...
No, thanks. Special assist, Dave Cable, BPTV, Bethel Park. We got Matt Harkins here. Somehow he's substituting for John the Tiger Kiger. Sorry, Mary. Matt's here. No, don't dive. Here, flag on the play.
Do the robot.
But thanks to Matt, we got Jim in the control room who gave me the suggestion that... Oh, that's upside down. Sorry, I got so emotional on that. Thanks, Zach. Jim's in there, and Devin Shea, not Devin Ward today. He's Shea. He's here in the control room, made it on time, served his country and helped all of us last year and protected us. He was shooting all kind of rounds of ammunition from what I heard. Now the government has to go buy 1 billion more rounds. But that's okay. That was a non-political joke. Thank you very much. But getting back to KDKA, Smoking Jim was on one of my friends, great person in the community, Chris Moore.
Oh, Chris Moore's a good dude.
He's just awesome. He even let me talk last year on their show to Smoking Jim and ask him a question. Then he had an expert on Egypt, so I called in and had a great discussion there.
I listened to that too.
So, and I think I was right about the tribal societies out there and how they'd have more problems after
in my eyes, you were right, because what did you guys were talking about? That was so far over my head.
Well, what happened with you? What happened with you on KDKA? Since we got 40 seconds, I'll let you close it out. What happened?
Well, the one thing I closed out by giving a shout out to Al Levine, the Talk Machine. I said he's the next Johnny Carson, and that kind of raised the eyebrows of Chris Moore. But
this is too emotional.
Yeah, I just said basically I was saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to fire my good friend, one of the nicest guys I ever met, Kevin Colbert, the worst general manager in the history of team sports.
Well, on that closing night comment tonight, go Steelers, go Pitt, go Penn State, go West Virginia.
Go Buccos.
They all won, and the Buccos, they'll be in the playoffs this year. Don't forget the Buccos. We didn't get Pirate Talk in. That's our show. Good night, folks. Drive safely. See you next week.